I bet you've been rejected in your relationship and you've gone down either two different routes. You are the type of person who blames and accuses your ex-partner of being a narcissist, an abusive person, a monster. Or you felt the rejection and you've looked into manifesting them into becoming obsessed with you because you are actually obsessed with them still. The funny thing about being obsessed is that it didn't really take much for you to become obsessed with that person, whether they're an ex or whether it's someone that you are romantically interested in, and for the love of God, you just can't get your mind off of them. Did that person whom you are obsessed over do anything to manifest you becoming obsessed with them? They were probably sitting in a state of effortlessness where they didn't even have to do anything to manifest that. I know I'm all about manifestation, but manifestation is a byproduct, not an end result. I've heard the term rejection breeds obsession. Is that always true? I just find it fascinating that there are two types of people who are either obsessed with their ex or romantic interest, and they are wanting them to be the ones obsessed. Or there are the breakup coaches who tell you that you need to stop obsessing over your ex or romantic interest. And then at some point you could even turn into one of those people who accuse your ex-partner of being abusive or narcissistic and not taking any accountability for your end of the spectrum. And somehow I think that's supposed to make you feel good. But you know what actually feels good? Forgiving said partner, forgiving said actions, forgiving the terrible things that have been done, and forgiving yourself. That doesn't mean accepting that person back in if that's what you don't want. But by not forgiving, you're holding onto a tight rope and it's burning your hands. That's why when I unblock someone that I care about deeply, I can't punish that person in the sense that it's actually probably hurting me more to do that. So I just don't. Because there's no need for it. I mean, what's going to happen? But the most interesting thing for me, as I'm contemplating this phenomena, these subjects and weighing them and comparing them and trying to not feel some type of cognitive dissonance and make sense of these different beliefs in different areas, who is the one who can actually make you obsessed? Is it the other person who makes you obsessed? Or is it you who makes yourself obsessed with the other person? This is the fascinating question that I am pondering right now. Have you ever had someone walk up to you and try to manifest you into becoming obsessed with them? I highly doubt that. Have your attempts at manifesting someone else to becoming obsessed with you worked, whilst vice versa you were actually secretly the one obsessed with them? I'm not sure. Especially when it didn't take anything for the other person to make you feel obsessed with them. Now, they didn't actually make you feel obsessed with them. You made yourself obsessed. You decided that you would let yourself feel obsession towards the other person. Likewise, so would another person towards you. If someone else is feeling obsessed towards you, that is on them feeling obsessed. They decided to feel obsessed with you. And here's the interesting thing. The reason you decide to feel obsessed with someone or someone else decides to feel obsessed with you is based on the decision mechanism. It's based on a mechanism that makes decisions. And there are dozens and thousands of factors weighing on the scales of the decision mechanism to say a yes or a no. The default position is generally going to be a no, but for some reason, someone who is obsessed has put themselves in the yes category. And the reason the yes category tends to be answered, even if, logically speaking and objectively speaking, the scale of saying no outweighs the scale of saying yes, even if it's more painful, there is one major factor that weighs significantly on the scales. It's like a multiplier, and it goes like that. And then, voila, that person decides to become obsessed. Why? The reason an individual would feel obsessed is because their conscious entity has attached their identity to a frame or a narrative that depicts themselves as someone who loves the other person or who doesn't give up, who doesn't surrender, who fights till the last breath. And as a consequence, there is obsession out of that identity. And so every thought, feeling, and action that subsequently follows from that displays the obsession, which goes back to the identity in which your conscious entity has attached itself to. And the reason the conscious entity attached itself to that identity is because the decision mechanism collapsed the opposing choice. And the reason the decision mechanism collapsed the opposing choice is because the opposing choice was an existential threat, and hence the obsessive and addictive identity narrative gets to live. Very similar to politics. People will die for their political viewpoints. People will die for the political narrative. People will go to war for that shit. It's no different when you're attaching your identity to some type of emotional, romantic bonding story. You believe in love? Oh, that person should be obsessed with me. I am somehow naturally obsessed with them, and I can't stop thinking about that person.